Welcome everybody to the seasonal diet, eating what our ancestors ate when they ate it, like we were evolved to do. Welcome back everyone to leafy green season. Late spring, early summer is the best season for the leafy greens, of course depending on where you are in the world. Today we are speaking about the common lettuce, by far the most common and basic leafy green that you are all eating regularly, I'm sure. But what is the history of lettuce in our ancestors' diet, and should we be eating so much of it as we do? Well, in all its various types, the iceberg, romaine, butterhead, or leaf lettuce definitely has the least amount of nutrients out of all the other leafy greens we are talking about this week. But it is one of the oldest ones in the human diet. The origins of lettuce can be traced back to ancient Egypt in the Mediterranean region. It has been believed to have been cultivated as early as 2500 BC in ancient Egypt, and the ancient Egypt appreciated lettuce for its cool and refreshing qualities, using it oftentimes in religious rituals and offerings to the gods. It's also found in ancient Egyptian medical texts from about 1500 BC, and it can be found later on in time from ancient Greek and Roman texts, such as the Greek philosopher Theophrastus included lettuce in his botanical works about 200-300 BC. Also, more spiritual in nature, we find it in Greek poetry associating lettuce with the god Apollo. Also, from around the same time, right about 2,000 years ago or before, we find it in an ancient Chinese pharmacological book mentioning different varieties of lettuce and their therapeutic uses. So, like most of the leafy greens, humans have not been eating a ton of lettuce for very long, at least as a main part of their diet. It was more medicinal prior to about 2,000 years ago. But at the turn of the millennia then, we definitely have some good records of it being grown agriculturally on the wide scale in ancient Greece and Rome, and also from some of the earliest known cookbooks from the time. Just a few hundred years after that, we see lettuce spreading to the rest of Europe and becoming into wide-scale use. Of course, also about 1,000 years later, lettuce was introduced to the Americas by the European settlers when they arrived there. Over the centuries following that, lettuce has undergone selective breeding and hybridization to develop a wide range of types that you all know today, like I mentioned, iceberg, romaine, butterhead, leaf lettuce, to name a few. And they can be produced and found all over the world. But when in the year is it typically grown and cultivated at the best? Well, spring season is definitely best, like most of the other leafy greens, because that's when temperatures are beginning to rise and the frost is decreasing and it's not too warm yet. So spring, early summer is best. But lettuce is also well suited for cultivation during the fall because the cooler temperatures and shorter days of the autumn create favorable conditions for lettuce growth. Fall lettuce often matures with a slightly sweeter and more intense flavor actually, so you might notice that difference in lettuce types from the spring to the fall. And also in some places with mild winters, lettuce can be cultivated during the winter season as well. And that is quite interesting for places who have a temperate climate at the time. But lettuce is actually not suited for hot and dry summers. But with lettuce being the number one most popular leafy green to grow commercially in the modern day, with things like technology, greenhouses, or cold frames, lettuce can be grown year-round. So today you can find it in your stores pretty much anywhere in the world at all times of year. But for our ancestors, it would have been a spring or fall vegetable, and we really have not eaten it on the wide scale for much more than a couple thousand years, it seems, like most of the other leafy greens. But let us all know, do you guys like it? How often do you eat it? Do you have any special recipes where you come from? Let us know in the comments.